The deadliest prehistoric ocean Earth has ever seen. On land, survival is hard, but you can at least face your enemies. In the ocean, you're at the mercy of what you can't see. Now imagine a prehistoric sea so monstrous that no human in their right mind would dare approach it. A sea where even the great white shark, today's ultimate predator, would be nothing but an easy meal. You might have heard of Jurassic waters with their Pliosaurs, or the Miocene Seas, home to megalodons, but they pale in comparison to the terror of this prehistoric ocean. Giant marine reptiles with jaws that could crush anything in their path, sharks twice the size of today's great whites, and even smaller predators that could tear you apart in seconds. All of them were residents of this terrifying sea. Today, we're diving into the deadliest prehistoric sea that was around while T-Rex and Triceratops were stomping on land, totally clueless of the brutality going on in the sea. You'll find some of nature's most efficient killing machines in today's oceans. The great white shark, with its serrated teeth and ambush tactics, can't detect a single drop of blood from miles away. Killer whales or orcas hunt in coordinated packs, taking down prey far larger than themselves. Even smaller threats like box jellyfish with venom that can kill in minutes remind us that the ocean is a place of constant danger. But the reign of these modern hunters would have been short-lived in a prehistoric sea where predators were bigger, faster, and deadlier than anything alive today. Imagine the heart of North America, not as farmland or sprawling cities, but as an ancient underwater battleground. Millions of years ago, this unassuming landscape was a vast, terrifying marine slaughterhouse, teeming with creatures that make today's ocean predators seem almost tame. Back then, there were more than a dozen species of sharks, along with a host of other fearsome hunters. This ancient ecosystem was part of a shallow sea that once divided North America in two between 95 and 68 million years ago. Scientists refer to it as the Western Interior Seaway. At its largest, the sea stretched from the Caribbean all the way up to the Canadian Arctic. The thought of an ocean existing where farmland now spreads is bizarre enough, but what's more fascinating is that the sea was terrorized by the deadliest sea monsters that ever existed. That's why, as a basic rule, if you ever get to travel back in time, stay out of the Western Interior Seaway, also known as Hell's Aquarium, because there's no chance of getting out alive. But you might be wondering, how did this terrifying monster-filled sea come about? The story of the Western Interior Seaway begins during the Jurassic period, a time when rising sea levels coincided with a slow sinking of central North America. Around 180 million years ago, a tectonic plate called the Farallon Plate began its gradual push towards the continent from the Pacific. As it collided with the North American plate, it slid beneath it, a process known as subduction. This collision forced some areas of the North American plate to bend upward, forming mountain ranges, while other regions began to sink, creating shallow basins. The Farallon Plate didn't stop there. It continued to slide beneath the continent, reaching as far inland as modern-day Utah. At some point, its angle of descent changed, shifting to a shallower slope for reasons scientists are still trying to understand. This subtle shift had major consequences. The Farallon Plate began to exert a downward pull on the continental crust, causing the Midwest to sink even deeper. Meanwhile, Earth's climate was warming. From the mid-Cretaceous to the early Eocene, atmospheric greenhouse gases drove up global temperatures, with estimates suggesting the average temperature during the Cretaceous was about 6 degrees Celsius higher than today. Warmer temperatures meant melting ice caps and rising seas. As the land flexed downward, ocean waters crept in, and by about 95 million years ago, the Arctic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico were connected by a vast inland sea. This transformation split North America into two distinct land masses. To the east lay Appalachia, where giant crocodilians roamed alongside early Tyrannosaurus. To the west was Laramidia, home to an array of bizarre and fascinating dinosaurs still being uncovered today. And between these two continents was the seaway itself, a thriving marine ecosystem that was anything but peaceful. The western interior seaway reached its peak during the Campanian age of the late Cretaceous, around 83.6 to 72.1 million years ago. At its zenith, this warm tropical sea stretched over 2,000 miles or 3,200 kilometers long and spanned 600 miles or 970 kilometers at its widest point. Despite its massive surface area, it was surprisingly shallow, averaging only about 50 meters or 150 feet deep, with its deepest areas reaching just 900 meters or 3,000 feet. Even so, this seemingly modest seaway was teeming with terrifying predators, many of which were larger and more fearsome than any dinosaur roaming the land. Among these aquatic nightmares, the undisputed kings were the mosasaurs, giant marine reptiles that dominated the seaway with their speed, size, and specialized hunting abilities. Resembling modern monitor lizards in body shape, mosasaurs had evolved into powerful swimmers, equipped with 4 paddle-like flippers and elongated streamlined bodies. Depending on the species, they propelled themselves through the water either with an undulating eel-like motion or, in the case of more advanced mosasaurs, with shark-like tail flukes that gave them remarkable speed and maneuverability. Their large serrated teeth were perfectly designed for gripping and tearing prey, and their success led to an incredible diversity within the seaway, unmatched anywhere else in the world. Hey everyone, just a quick pause. If you're enjoying this video, please like it, subscribe, and tap that bell for instant updates. The mosasaur's rise to dominance was a far cry from its humble beginnings. Many paleontologists believe it all started with a group of semi-aquatic lizards known as the Ankylosauridae, which popped up around 99 million years ago in Europe. These lizards thrived in the shallow waters of the prehistoric Tethys Ocean, likely spending most of their time on land. Unlike their future descendants, they were pretty small, just a few feet long, snacking on small fish, lizards, and maybe even some amphibians. Quite the contrast to the mighty diets of their later kin. For millions of years, the Ankylosauridae didn't change much. When they first appeared, the waters were already buzzing with dominant predators like the short-necked Pliosaurs and the dolphin-like Ichthyosaurs. Both groups had a variety of large predators, making it tough for newcomers to find their place in the food chain. Since the ancestors of mosasaurs were smaller, they didn't really compete. But fortune smiled upon them around 90 million years ago, when both Pliosaurs and Ichthyosaurs disappeared. There are several theories about why this happened. Some suggest these two groups were in a long struggle, while a newer idea points to a depletion of dissolved oxygen in the oceans, leading to what's known as the Bonnarelli extinction events. This could have wiped out both groups, creating a big gap in the food chain. The Ankylosauridae were quick to take advantage of this opportunity. With fewer predators around, they could dive back into the ocean for good and rapidly evolve into what we now recognize as mosasaurs. Their limbs transformed into flippers, their tails became powerful tools for swimming, and they grew big time. It's likely that some new mosasaur species reached over 4 meters or 12 feet in length, with record holders like Bruce, a Tylosaurus, believed to have hit 13.1 meters or 43 feet. Thanks to their size and diversity, mosasaurs quickly climbed to the top of the marine predator hierarchy in just 25 million years. That's impressively fast compared to how long it took other marine reptiles to reach that status. By the end, there were 42 species of mosasaurs, making a strong impact around the world. Of the many mosasaur species in the seaway, 3 stood out as the most abundant and formidable: Clinasts, Platycarpus, and Tylosaurs. The smallest of the trio, Clinasts, was still no lightweight. Certain specimens reached up to 6.2 meters or 20 feet in length, comparable to the largest great white sharks today, though their slender body made them more agile hunters. This mosasaur was well suited to the shallow parts of the seaway, where it used its smooth teeth to snatch up fish and invertebrates. While it wasn't designed to tackle human-sized prey, its sharp bite was not something to underestimate. Some evidence even suggests that cleidasts could venture into freshwater, making it a predator that was hard to avoid, no matter where you swam. Next up was Platycarpus, a slightly larger mosasaur, measuring about 7 meters or 24 feet in length and weighing roughly a ton, comparable to a modern Nile crocodile. While its size and look can scare you, Platycarpus wasn't a menace to the largest creatures of the seaway. Paleontologists have found its teeth to be surprisingly fragile, suggesting it primarily hunted small fish and soft-bodied creatures like squid in deeper waters. For tiny prey, the seaway might have felt like a nightmare, but larger creatures likely had little to fear from this mosasaur. Then there was the Tylosaurus, the giant of the seaway and a true apex predator. Adults range between 12 and 15.8 meters or 39 to 52 feet long, rivaling the size of a humpback whale. With its powerful build and up to 32 sharp serrated teeth, Tylosaurus had no trouble ripping through large prey. Its diet, as revealed by fossilized stomach contents, included everything from turtles and birds to sharks, bony fish, and even other mosasaurs. Scientists have found evidence of what would be called mosasaur on mosasaur crimes, which we will discuss shortly. The Tylosaurus, a remarkable ambush hunter, thrived by lying in wait for unsuspecting prey. With astonishing speed, it would launch itself into action, employing its distinctive snout as a lethal weapon. This snout was not just any appendage. It was proportionally elongated and devoid of teeth at the front, leading to a robust structure capped with a formidable knob. This knob, supported by shock-absorbing features, transformed the Tylosaurus's snout into a natural battering ram, ideal for incapacitating its victims. Evidence from fossil records suggests that this creature was a fierce and aggressive hunter, often engaging in brutal confrontations, even with its own kind. Scars on adult specimens hint at fierce battles, and there are accounts of Tylosaurus attacking a mosasaurus, including a notorious incident where one Tylosaurus is believed to have crushed the brain case of its rival, leading to a swift demise. However, the mosasaurus was a titan in its own right. Towering at lengths of up to 17.1 meters or 56 feet and weighing over 10 tons, it held the title of the largest known mosasaur. Its massive skull, proportionate to its substantial body, housed an array of massive teeth, engineered for slicing and tearing. Each tooth was a marvel, featuring 2 opposing edges and prisms along the sides that enhanced its cutting ability, while providing an exceptional grip. This formidable predator possessed a bite force estimated between 13,000 and 16,000 pounds per square inch, 4 times that of a saltwater crocodile. Such immense power solidified its status as an apex predator within its domain. Mosasaurus, much like Tylosaurus, relied on ambush techniques to capture prey. Unlike the more sensory-driven sharks, these giants depended on their superior binocular vision, granting them clarity even in murky waters. This adaptation allowed them to stalk a diverse range of prey with remarkable efficiency. Yet the waters were not devoid of competition. Other predators like Prognathodon prowled the depths, equipped with similar adaptations and an insatiable appetite for dominance. Prognathodon had a strong, streamlined body and a head filled with sharp teeth, which made it a formidable predator. Its name means forward jaw, which is a nod to its distinctive jaw structure. These reptiles were top-notch hunters, feasting on fish, other marine reptiles, and whatever else crossed their path. Although Prognathodon was a formidable hunter, it was still 25% smaller than the Mosasaurus. But despite its impressive size, the Mosasaurus didn't have the deadliest jaws in these waters. That title belonged to the Deinosuchus, a crocodilian behemoth that lurked along the edges of this prehistoric waterway, overshadowing its competitors with its sheer power. This ancient seaway wasn't just the hunting ground for the largest mosasaurs. It was also home to one of the most massive crocodilians ever discovered. Scientists are still piecing together the extent of Deinosuchus's range, but evidence suggests it thrived in bays, estuaries, and coastal waters. Fossils found in marine deposits indicate it may have occasionally ventured into deeper areas. Interestingly, its size varied depending on location. On the eastern side of the seaway, Deinosuchus was smaller but more abundant, while the western population was fewer in number yet significantly larger, with individuals stretching up to 12 meters or 39 feet long. Though shorter than the largest mosasaurs, Deinosuchus was far more robust, weighing an estimated 8.5 tons. Its armor was another feature that set Deinosuchus apart. Like other crocodilians, it had osteoderms, bony plates embedded in its skin, but these were exceptionally large and heavy. Early paleontologists even mistook them for the armor of the Ankylosaurus. These thick dome-shaped plates covered its back, offering incredible protection and anchoring tissues that likely supported its ability to walk on land. This armor made Deinosuchus not just a predator, but a virtually impenetrable one. But what truly made Deinosuchus terrifying was its bite. Its massive skull, broad and alligator-like, allowed for an extraordinary bite force. Combined with powerful jaw muscles, this crocodilian could deliver a bite stronger than that of a full-grown T-Rex. Estimates suggest it had a crushing force of over 100,000 newtons, enough to shatter a car, yet alone its prey. Its teeth were built for destruction, sharp in the front for piercing and blunt in the back for crushing. This specialized dentition made it capable of breaking through tough shells and bones, leaving little chance for escape. When it came to hunting, Deinosuchus was a master opportunist. Like the modern American alligator, it would have taken whatever it could catch. Fossil evidence shows it targeted marine turtles, large fish, and even dinosaurs that wandered too close to the water. The western interior seaway was a daunting place, and its dangers didn't end at the coastlines or coral reefs. The open waters held their own share of terrors, including some of the most fascinating cephalopods in history. These creatures weren't as massive or intimidating as the mosasaurs or the legendary Deinosuchus, but they were far from harmless. In fact, the cephalopods of this ancient ocean were some of the largest of their kind, rivals to today's colossal squid and giant squid. Among these eerie giants, two stood out: Tusoteuthis and Enchoteuthis. Both were part of the now extinct Enchoteuthinae family, and their similarities often leave paleontologists debating over which fossil belongs to which species. One thing they agree on, though, is that these creatures were massive, unsettling, and a little baffling. Imagine a squid, but stocky, with a compact body that looked like it had been bulked up at the gym. Despite their squid-like appearance, they were more closely related to modern octopuses. In fact, that makes them even weirder. As juveniles, these cephalopods were bite-sized snacks for marine predators. Fossil evidence like fish stomach contents supports the idea that they were a key part of many animals' diets. But they didn't take this line down. Instead, they evolved to mature rapidly and exhibited remarkable size variation. While some individuals only grew to about the size of a human arm, others reached an imposing 3 meters or 10 feet in length. At that size, they weren't just survivors, they were predators. These giant cephalopods likely hunted fish, invertebrates, and even small marine reptiles like baby mosasaurs and plesiosaurs. Their hunting tactics were probably similar to those of modern octopuses. Using their 10 sucker-lined tentacles, they would snatch prey and guide it into their powerful beaks, which made quick work of their unfortunate victims. And while it's not confirmed, many scientists believe they could squirt ink to confuse predators and make a quick getaway. Combined with their agility thanks to jet propulsion, they were formidable hunters. However, for all their strengths, Tusoteuthis and Enchoteuthis had one major weakness: they were soft. Their bodies were composed almost entirely of delicate tissue, leaving them vulnerable to attacks from creatures with teeth and claws. But not all cephalopods in the western interior seaway were so defenseless. Check out Parapubosia, an ammonite that took a different approach to survival. Unlike its squid-like relatives, Parapubosia belonged to an extinct group of cephalopods known as ammonites, whose closest living relatives are coleoids. These creatures didn't rely on speed or tentacles alone. They carried their homes with them. Ammonites, including Parapubosia, had coiled shells made of calcium carbonate. These weren't just any shells. They were engineered marvels. The calcium carbonate was arranged in layers of prisms and crystals, giving the shell strength and resilience. For Parapubosia, this shell wasn't just protection. It was part of its identity. And what a shell it was! Measuring up to 3.5 meters or 11 feet in diameter, it made Parapubosia the largest known ammonite and the heaviest cephalopod of all time. Including its flesh, this sea monster likely weighed over 1.5 tons, with nearly half of that weight coming from its shell. If you could somehow uncurl its body from the shell, Parapubosia might stretch out to an astonishing 18 meters or 60 feet, twice the length of a whale shark. Such size came with its own set of accolades. Not only was Parapubosia the largest ammonite, but it also claimed the title of the heaviest invertebrate ever to exist. However, despite its impressive stature, much about its lifestyle remains a mystery. With all ammonites extinct, scientists can only speculate about how Parapubosia lived and hunted. Now, let's see the sharks that roam the Cretaceous waters. At the height of the Cretaceous period, some creatures swimming through the western interior seaway might have seemed eerily familiar: sharks. These ancient predators, which have existed for hundreds of millions of years, were far from being the rulers of the seas during this time. However, they carved out a significant niche as scavengers and predators, thriving in an ecosystem teeming with life. Among these prehistoric sharks, a few stood out not just for their hunting prowess, but also for their remarkable size and unique characteristics. Let's start with a shark that could redefine your understanding of gentle giant: Tychodus. Unlike its more notorious relatives, this massive shark wasn't built to terrorize every creature in its path. Comparable in size to today's whale sharks, Tychodus measured up to 10 meters or 33 feet long, but it wasn't a filter feeder. Instead, this shark had a Doryphagous diet, meaning it specialized in crushing hard-shelled prey. How do we know this? Its teeth. Tychodus had hundreds of flat, plate-like teeth, some as large as a ruler, designed to pulverize crustaceans, mollusks, and even turtles. These robust teeth were a marvel of natural engineering, perfectly adapted for a diet that most other sharks wouldn't touch. Despite its intimidating size, Tychodus was relatively harmless to larger animals, focusing instead on slow-moving, armored prey. On the other end of the spectrum was Cretoxorina, often called the Ginsu shark, a name that evokes its razor-sharp teeth and predatory nature. This shark wasn't just big, it was deadly. At up to 8 meters or 26 feet long and weighing over 5 tons, Cretoxorina was a hyper-aggressive predator that ruled the open waters of the seaway. Its appearance might remind you of a great white shark, but the two aren't closely related. This resemblance is a prime example of convergent evolution, where unrelated species develop similar traits to adapt to comparable environments. Cretoxorina was fast, incredibly fast. Its placoid scales and streamlined body minimized drag, enabling it to reach speeds of up to 70 kilometers per hour or 43 miles per hour. Aided by a powerful Type 4 tail fin, the most efficient design for speed among sharks, this predator could chase down almost any prey. Once it caught up, its jaws came into play. Cretoxorina's teeth were larger and more robust than those of today's great whites, with thick enamel capable of withstanding the force of high-speed impacts. Fossil evidence shows deep bite marks on bones belonging to its prey, which included other sharks, marine reptiles like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, and large fish. Occasionally, even dinosaurs that had been washed out to sea ended up on its menu, though likely as scavenged meals rather than active hunts. Smaller but no less fascinating was Squalocorax, better known as the crow shark. Measuring between 1.8 and 4.8 meters, 6 to 16 feet in length, this mid-sized predator occupied coastal waters, where it played the dual roles of scavenger and predator. Its teeth were numerous, curved, and serrated, perfect tools for slicing through flesh and sawing through tough tissue. Squalocorax's diet overlapped with that of Cretoxorina, though it targeted smaller prey. Fossil evidence suggests it had a knack for scavenging, feeding on dead dinosaurs that washed into the seaway, and even preying on pterosaurs. Its ability to hunt flying reptiles like pteranodon hints at keen eyesight, allowing it to track these creatures when they swoop down to fish. In addition to pterosaurs, Squalocorax frequently hunted fish, including one particularly infamous resident of the western interior seaway, Zephactinus, also known as the X-fish. Zephactinus wasn't a shark, but it was every bit as terrifying. This giant bony fish, belonging to the extinct order Ichthyodectiforms, could grow up to 6 meters or 20 feet long. Its appearance was the stuff of nightmares, with a broad, slanted jaw that gave it a perpetually menacing expression. But its fearsome reputation wasn't just for show. Zephactinus had a jaw that could unhinge to swallow prey whole, much like a modern-day snake. This ability allowed it to consume creatures nearly its size. The famous fish within a fish fossil provides a vivid example. A 1.9 meter or 6.2 foot fish found intact within the stomach of a medium-sized Zephactinus. This gruesome discovery underscores the predatory efficiency of this prehistoric monster. In addition to swallowing prey whole, Zephactinus could also bite and tear apart larger animals, thanks to its sharp, narrow teeth. Whether hunting actively or scavenging, it was a formidable predator in its own right, earning its place among the top predators of the western interior seaway. Together, these creatures, Tychidus, Cretoxorina, Squalocorax, and Zephactinus, formed a cast that could rival any monster movie. Each played a unique role in the ecosystem, contributing to an environment as diverse as it was deadly. From the gentle, shell-crushing behemoth Tychidus to the hyper-aggressive Cretoxorina, the western interior seaway was a place where survival required either cunning, speed, or sheer luck. Among the many predators that hunted the western interior seaway, there's one group that stands out for its unmistakable silhouette: the Plesiosaurs. While they shared some features with their contemporaries, the mosasaurs, such as having 4 flippers, the similarities end there. Plesiosaurs had unique bodies that were broad and flat, short tails that didn't contribute much to propulsion, and in some species, necks so absurdly long they hold records for the most extreme neck-to-body ratios in the animal kingdom. These reptiles swam with a distinct style, flapping their flippers in a motion reminiscent of flying. They were most commonly found in shallower waters, where they made good use of their specialized adaptations. The western interior seaway was home to several plesiosaur species, with a bulk belonging to the genus Plesiosaurus. However, a few polycotylids, like the mighty Elasmosaurus and the Albertonecks, truly stole the spotlight. These giants stretched up to 11.6 meters or 38 feet in length, most of which was neck. In fact, Elasmosaurus had more vertebrae in its neck than any other known animal, a staggering feat for a creature of its time. Despite their imposing size and eerie appearance, Plesiosaurs weren't fearsome apex predators. Their narrow mouths and elongated necks were specialized for hunting smaller prey. Scientists believe these reptiles relied on ambush tactics. By keeping their bulky bodies hidden, they could sneak their long necks toward unsuspecting fish or crustaceans. It's even possible that their peculiar shape tricked prey into mistaking them for fellow swimmers rather than predators. Once within striking range, their angled teeth acted like natural traps, ensuring that whatever was caught didn't escape. Their diet consisted primarily of small fish, but evidence suggests they also targeted snails, clams, and other diminutive creatures. This specialization didn't make them any less effective as hunters. Their diversity and evolutionary success over millions of years are testaments to their skill. However, their place in Hell's Aquarium wasn't permanent. As time passed, the western interior seaway began to shrink. This gradual loss of habitat likely put pressure on its inhabitants, including the Plesiosaurs. While some species slowly declined, others may have adapted, evolving into new forms. But no amount of adaptation could prepare them for the cataclysm that ultimately brought an end to their reign. 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid collided with Earth, marking the end of the Cretaceous period. The impact, which struck near present-day Mexico, caused devastation on a planetary scale, but the western interior seaway bore the brunt of the destruction. The asteroid's proximity triggered massive tsunamis, and the fallout disrupted ecosystems in unimaginable ways. Evidence of this catastrophic event can be found in fossils of fish from the seaway, their gills tainted with iridium, a rare element linked to asteroid impacts. For the iconic sea monsters of the seaway, this spelled the end. The once thriving ecosystem, teeming with predators like plesiosaurs, mosasaurs, and sharks, were reduced to silence. The western interior seaway has vanished, but its nightmarish creatures are still remembered. Through the ages, new predators emerged to take their place in the oceans. Just a heads up, if you ever hop on a time machine, take my advice and avoid those waters. And that's a wrap. What's your favorite creature from this episode? And which of them would you want a separate video on? Feel free to leave your answers in the comments below. If you liked the video, then you should check out the one on your screen. This video on this ancient era was a living hell for humans will blow your mind. Thanks for watching.